and we move now to Proposition 19, which has to do with property taxes. And who better to break it down for us than Matt Levin, who covers housing for CalMatters and is co-host of the podcast Give Me Shelter. Matt, it's great to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me again.
Like so many ballot measures here in California, this one is kind of deja vu all over again. Remind us about a similar measure back in 2018 and what happened with that one.
Sure. So you're referring to Prop 5, which a lot of Californians may remember. Prop 19 is the hotly anticipated sequel to Prop 5. Prop 5 would have given a significant property tax break to seniors over the age of 55 when they moved into a new home. And voters pretty overwhelmingly rejected it. It lost by about 20 points at the ballot box last November. Part of the reasons it was rejected was because an independent fiscal analysis found that it was going to cost local governments potentially billions of dollars. The main proponents of Prop 5, the California Association of Realtors, are back again with a very similar measure, and they think they have a fix to that revenue problem they had.
And the way to close this gap is something that's affectionately known as the Lebowski loophole. And we have talked about that before on this show, but as far as I see it, any opportunity to talk about Jeff Bridges, that's a good day in my book. So Matt, break down for us how this would work.
Sure. So because of a proposition that was passed in the 1980s, when adult California children inherit their parents' properties, they also inherit their very low property tax rates. And it doesn't matter whether the adult child actually lives in the home or rents it out. So the Lebowski loophole, which I should give credit to my podcast co-host, Liam Dillon from the LA Times, who was the first one to discover this. Actor Jeff Bridges inherited a Malibu estate from his parents, rented it out as an Airbnb, made tens of thousands a month renting it out as an Airbnb, but paid very little in property taxes, probably less in property taxes than your average Californian would be paying, especially a Californian that bought their new home within the last 2 or 3 years.
It's fascinating stuff. So let's talk about who is in support of Prop 19. Where's the love coming from?
The love is most coming from the California Association of Realtors, and you can quantify that love with the amount of money they've put into this measure. So over $40 million has been spent trying to get this passed. The realtors are hoping that by reducing property taxes for senior homeowners when they choose to move, that will gin up home sales, right? That'll put more homes on the market. More people would be willing to move. They also argue that by putting more homes on the market, that means more opportunities for first-time home buyers to purchase a home in the exorbitant house prices that we have. It's not just the realtors, though. The California Firefighters Association, the big firefighters union, is a fan of this measure. That's because a chunk of the revenue would go to them. Governor Gavin Newsom has endorsed this measure, as has the California Democratic Party.
And who's opposing it?
So there isn't really a well-organized or well-financed opposition here. The Howard Jarvis Association, they're kind of big advocates against tax increases, and the original defenders of Proposition 13. They really hate the idea of closing that inheritance tax loophole. They're against it. The California Association of Counties is a little lukewarm on it, I would say. They fear that some counties may lose money as a part of this as opposed to others. Although the overall fiscal analysis suggests that this would actually be a net plus in terms of money coming into local governments and the state overall.
Well, it's interesting, Matt, too, because all of this is coming at a time, and you probably know this way better than I do, but we've talked about here on the show the fact that, the initial assumption with the coronavirus pandemic was that this was going to be awful for the real estate market with so many people losing their jobs. But a lot of interesting things have happened as people are spending more time at home. People are coming to this region and leaving this region. It's actually a very hot real estate market right now. Do you think that might have any effect on how the vote goes for this particular ballot measure?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think to the surprise of many, California single-family home prices continue to escalate. So we just reached yet another all-time high a couple months ago. The median price of a single-family home in California is over $700,000. That may sound somewhat of a bargain maybe to some of your viewers in the LA area, but if you go to any other state in the country, that's a head-scratching figure. As far as the extent or the influence of that phenomenon on whether this gets passed or not, that's a little less clear. I do think if this was a market where real estate prices were cratering, that's probably less of a good thing for proponents of Prop 19. Here they can still say, look, because property prices are still so high, your property taxes, if you bought a new home and you're older, are still going to be really high. This is a way for seniors to get around that.
CalMatters, Matt Levin, thanks so much.
Thank you, Alex.